Jungkook said this to Taehyung? What did he say? Taehyung, you are mine. No one is allowed to get close to you. I would get jealous. Jungkook seems to have some past trauma that makes him afraid of losing someone. This is shown by Taehyung simply nodding, confirming, Jungkook, you are mine too. I don't want anyone else to take you away from me. You are the best thing that has ever been mine. This isn't about being possessive, but more about gratitude and pride for finally finding a healthy love. There was a time when they almost broke up, but in the end they realized, love isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other every single day. Watch the continuation of this video and don't miss it. This is still our shared opinion and analysis, so feel free to leave your positive comments here. And this week I'll make a special video dedicated to the best comment on this channel. Keep watching our best videos. The best comment will be pinned as a way to honor their love. Thank you to everyone who continues to support this channel. May God reward all of your kindness. Purple heart folded hands. This video reflects my personal opinion and interpretation. It is made for entertainment purposes only and does not represent confirmed facts. Hey everyone! Before we start, make sure you're ready to love this moments. Welcome to VKook. What if one single word just changed everything? Taehyung calmly called it his first simple, casual, almost innocent. But then Jungkook stepped in and called it his. Not ours. Not that his point. Two different voices, the same moment, the same claim. Was it a coincidence? A misunderstanding? Or did they just reveal something they never meant to share? Because when two people mark the same memory as their first, it's not just a slip of the tongue. It's ownership. It's emotion. It's history. And once you hear it the way fans did, you can't unhear it. So, the real question is, what exactly were they claiming? And why did it feel so personal? The silence after that moment wasn't loud. It was calculated. Taehyung didn't stutter when he said it. He didn't laugh it off. He didn't correct himself. He said my first with a softness that didn't feel accidental. It sounded lived in, like a memory he had replayed before. And then Jungkook, no hesitation. No confusion. Just a subtle shift in tone. And that single word, mine. Not louder, not aggressive, but firmer. That's what made it worse, because this wasn't two people misunderstanding a question. This wasn't a translation error. The timing was too precise. The choice of words too intentional. It felt like two narratives colliding in real time, and neither of them backed down. If you watch closely, Taehyung's expression changes for half a second after Jungkook speaks. It's almost invisible. A blink that lingers too long. A jaw that tightens. A micro smile that doesn't fully form. Jungkook, on the other hand, doesn't look at him immediately. He looks forward, controlled, measured. That's not randomness. That's awareness. Fans replayed the clip frame by frame. Lip movements, eye contact, the order of breathing. Because when two people claim the same first, it's not just about the word. It's about ownership of a memory, and ownership implies significance. The real tension isn't in what they said. It's in what they didn't clarify, and no one corrected it. No one laughed and said, "Oh, I meant something else." The moment passed, but it didn't dissolve. It lingered in the air like something unfinished. Why would Jungkook claim something Taehyung had already marked as his unless he believed it was? Unless that first was individual. Unless the memory belonged to both of them, but in different ways. And here's where it gets heavier. This isn't the first time their words have overlapped like this. There have been other instances. Subtle mirroring, shared phrasing, identical emotional emphasis on moments that were supposedly separate experiences. Patterns don't form from coincidence. They form from repetition. So what was this first? A project, a performance, a private milestone? The ambiguity is what makes it volatile. Because if it were harmless, they would have clarified. If it were insignificant, it wouldn't have carried that weight in their voices. Instead, it felt personal. Too personal. There's also the shift in body language afterward. Jungkook leans back slightly as if reclaiming space. Taehyung looks away first, and that microsecond of distance says more than any explanation ever could. Was it pride? Was it protectiveness? Or was it something slipping out that wasn't meant for public interpretation? The tension doesn't explode. It simmers. That's what makes it brutal. It's the kind of moment that divides audiences. Half insisting it means nothing, half convinced it means everything. But here's the uncomfortable truth. People don't instinctively use possessive language over meaningless things. Mine isn't neutral. It carries attachment. It carries emotion. It carries a boundary, and when Jungkook said it, there was no humor in his tone, just certainty. So now we're left with two claims over one first, two voices, one memory, zero clarification. If this was accidental, why did it feel so deliberate? If it was scripted, why did it feel so raw? And if it was neither, then what exactly were we witnessing? Because sometimes the most revealing confessions aren't the ones shouted, they're the ones that slip out quietly and are never taken back. And the scariest part, neither of them has addressed it since. The clip should have faded by now, but it didn't. Instead, it grew sharper with every replay. Within hours, old interviews resurfaced. Old live streams, old behind-the-scenes moments that once felt harmless. And suddenly, the pattern didn't look random anymore. There was that one early interview where Taehyung smiled and said, "It was my first time experiencing that." Jungkook had gone unusually quiet beside him. At the time, fans thought he was just listening. Now it felt different. There was another moment, years apart, where Jungkook casually described a milestone and used the exact same phrasing Taehyung had used before. Same emphasis, same pause before the word first. Coincidence happens once, twice is alignment, three times is history, and history is never accidental. The tension from the recent clip didn't explode publicly, but something shifted afterward. Watch the next few appearances. The space between them is subtle, not cold, not distant, but more controlled, more deliberate. They weren't avoiding each other. They were aware of being watched, because once the audience catches on to something, you either correct it or you protect it. And they didn't either. No clarification post. No dismissal. No, you misunderstood. Just silence. Silence is powerful when you have the platform to erase rumors instantly. So they let it breathe. That's where the speculation turns dangerous. What if that first wasn't about a public achievement at all? What if it was about something only they fully understand? A private memory disguised as a professional milestone? Because here's what people missed in the heat of the possessive word. The tone in Taehyung's voice when he said, "My first," wasn't proud. It was nostalgic, soft, almost protective. Jungkook's mind wasn't offensive. It was grounding, like he wasn't correcting Taehyung. He was claiming the same memory from a different position inside it. People can experience the same first, but from opposite sides of a story. And that's what makes this complicated. If the memory was shared, why phrase it individually? If it was individual, why does the other speak like they were there at the center of it? Look closer at their eye contact in the seconds after. Jungkook doesn't immediately search for Taehyung's reaction. That's confidence. Taehyung, however, glances sideways, not shocked, not upset, but aware. Aware that something just slipped through the cracks. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't jealousy. It felt like territory, but not territorial in the competitive sense. Territory as an emotional space, and when emotional territory is exposed unintentionally, people retreat. That explains the composure afterward. The careful wording, the almost mechanical professionalism in subsequent appearances. Not distance, containment. There's also something else, something far more unsettling. When someone publicly reclaims a moment as mine, especially right after someone else labeled it as my first, it can mean one of two things. Either they disagree on the origin of that memory, or they both know exactly what it means. And neither is willing to let it belong to only one person. That's not rivalry, that's attachment. And attachment is complicated when it becomes visible. The audience wasn't supposed to see that fracture in wording. It lasted seconds, but seconds are enough when emotions leak through tone. If it truly meant nothing, the natural instinct would be to laugh, to clarify, to say, "Oh, I meant something different." But neither of them did, because maybe clarifying would expose more than staying silent. And silence has been their weapon before. What makes this chapter heavier isn't the possessive language. It's the absence of denial. Because in an industry where every rumor is extinguished quickly, silence is rarely accidental. So what was that first? A song, a promise, a private beginning disguised as a professional one, or something that can't be named without shifting the entire narrative people have believed for years? The truth might not be explosive. It might be simple, but simple truths are sometimes the most dangerous when they contradict the image carefully built around you. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. When two people claim the same origin story, it means the starting point mattered deeply. Enough to protect, enough to fight over quietly, enough to risk slipping up on camera. The question isn't whether it was a coincidence anymore. The real question is what happened at that first moment that made both of them unwilling to let it belong to only one. And if that was the beginning, then what does that make everything that followed? Because beginnings define direction. And when two people protect a beginning that fiercely, it means what followed wasn't accidental growth. It was a continuation. Go back to their earliest years. Not the polished stages, not the award speeches, the quiet footage, the backstage fragments, the moments when cameras were rolling but attention wasn't fully sharpened yet. There's a clip barely discussed at the time where Taehyung says almost absent-mindedly, "We've known since the start." He doesn't specify what we means. He doesn't elaborate. Jungkook sitting beside him just nods, not confused, not curious, just confirming. At the time it passed as casual phrasing. Now it feels like a breadcrumb. When you line up their timelines, something becomes unsettlingly clear. Many of their firsts overlap in ways that don't fully make sense publicly. First studio memory, first emotional breakdown before a stage, first time feeling overwhelmed by fame. Different interviews, different years, same emotional anchor. Each time one of them recalls it, the other reacts like they were there, not as a colleague but as a witness. Witnesses don't claim ownership. Participants do. That's why the recent possessive slip doesn't feel isolated. It feels like a crack in a dam that's been holding back years of carefully filtered language. And what happens when language slips? Truth leaks. Not loudly but enough. Look at how they've always described their bond. Vague but intense. Close but undefined. Strong but normal. Every adjective safe, every explanation controlled. Until now. Because mine is not a safe word in a public narrative. It's intimate. It implies depth. And depth is dangerous when people start measuring it.